Good morning, everybody. How are you today? Today is Thursday, October 9th. Mind Over Matter, global online franchise. Now, I was going to run a little video this morning, earlier to remind people about today and give them a little sneak peek on the topic, but I ran out of time. I had coffee to make, stuff that's important. Seems to be a bad spot on my cup there. Anyway, how's everybody doing this morning? I feel like my camera is crooked. I'm going to turn it a little bit there. Better. There we go. Better. So, the topic I wanted to talk about today was a little bit. It's an interesting topic. It's about change, right? And change is a very powerful tool when it comes to evaluating somebody's mindset, if you're ever just trying to figure it out and see what kind of where they're at. There's so many different kinds of change when it comes to sometimes change is we will think it's bad because, again, mindset. But I would have to say that in every change, in every facet of life, there's always we'll call it the proverbial silver lining, shall we say, where there's something good to be found in whatever it is that's changing. It's not necessarily readily apparent, but it's definitely there, and you may have to go digging for it. You may have to really work hard to find it. So, I mean, for me, the big thing is there's always an exceptional amount of value in what in embracing change, right? So, so that's the topic today. It's going to be about change. So, and if anybody has any comments or questions or feedback about what I'm talking about today, or if you have any questions about anything really, please feel free to fire them off into the old chat box. It does take some time. I think there's a little bit of a lag for questions, so I wanted to announce it now so that if you guys want to start firing them in there, I can get at them a little bit later. Or if something crops up in your brain while I'm talking, by all means, fire away. I was inspired to come out to talk about this concept of change for a few reasons. One of them was actually with global online franchise, and it's but just in online marketing in general, online business in general, because I've been around it for some time, and I've seen a lot of people come and go, and I've seen a lot of people angry and frustrated and blaming the world, and I've also seen a lot of people have some great success. Some people who are new. I've seen people who have been around for a long time and struggle and then find something that works, and I've been around people who have always been success, and I've been around people that have had a little bit of success here and then none over there and then a little bit over there. So the spectrum is quite wide. The range is huge. So I've had the great pleasure of learning from all these people, and change can be something simply as the people that you work with directly, or the environment you're working in, or when global online franchise came along, to me it was such a huge opportunity for people to grow and learn and actually have success all at the same time. And so that's why it was very powerful for me. But it was a big change because I had to adjust to marketing this. I took on this responsibility on Thursday mornings. There were just a lot of things that were, I didn't have a whole lot of, we'll call it structured events taking place in my workday, because I was the one that was running the show and running the schedule, right? So, we have meetings now, and to discuss things with the global online franchise, just to make sure that we're all up to speed with Alex's direction, and it's been a change. But here's the thing: change is inevitable. Take out a pen, write that down, put it on the wall, tattoo it on your arm, something that where you're not going to forget, and you're going to see it always. Change is coming. Change is inevitable. You can't avoid it. It's going to find you sometime in your life, whether it's someone dying in your life. That's change, right? It's change. Your whole life changes when someone passes away. And same goes for birth. For those of you out there who've had children, if depending on how old they are, you may have to remember back when they were small. But my kids are not that old, and I do recall when they were first born. Your entire life, no facet of your life doesn't change when you have a child. It was funny because I was out for dinner with my wife this week because it was her birthday, and we went to her favorite restaurant, and we were sitting down. It's an Italian restaurant, not far from where we live, but it's a quaint little place. I really enjoy it too. The food, I've never had a bad plate of food there, but the good friends with the owner, of course, but he, because who am I not good friends with? Let's be real. Anyway, there's this couple there, and they had this small child, and the child wanted to go away from the table, like constantly run away from the table, and every time they'd pick him up and bring him back, he'd start to not really cry, but fuss. That's a good word, fuss. And I remember back in the day when I would have been very furious about this. I would have been furious that this child was interrupting the airspace. It was that drastic, right? And I could find myself just sort of smiling and chuckling about it. But I did think to myself, I don't understand who thinks that bringing a small child to a restaurant is okay, or not okay, is fun, is worth it, right? And all I could think about was that these two individuals just can't seem to embrace the change that is required when you have a small child. They went out for dinner, I'm sure, quite regularly. This child was not. It was just at walking, so just over walking age, whatever that is, year. So, and I'm not suggesting you can't go to a restaurant with your child. I'm just not suggesting that. However, I am suggesting that you do have to understand that your child doesn't want to be there, right? No child wants to be put into a chair, locked into a chair for however long it is that you're going to be there, because you're not going to change your life at all. I've heard that phrase 1,000 times. I swear 1,000 times. I may not know 1,000 people, but 1,000 times I've heard this phrase. Oh, having a kid's not going to change my life. That's all I can do now. Is laugh. I'm like, oh, it's going to change your life for about 20 years. I'm just saying, it's and longer depending on the nature of the children you have. Do they become independent quickly or not? It may be 30 years. Who knows? But anyway, point being is that it's going to change your life. And even if you wanted to go out for dinner and take your child, go ahead. But let's understand the limits that the child has that you can't change because they're a child. It's the person that needs to change is the adult, the people who have the capacity to understand what change is. So I just found it very interesting when I was there. My good buddy Jim Rohn had always said, use the phrase, well, isn't that interesting? It's one of my favorite phrases of all time, because whenever you come across something that what used to frustrate me or anger me or get me upset, I now apply the same phrase. Well, isn't that interesting? And I usually smile, because it is interesting, and it is something that I can contemplate and think and utilize, and I'm using it here. But it's about change. It's an embracing change and trying to find what it is inside the event that works for you, right? That's the key. Write that part down. What inside this event of change works for me? Because what people tend to focus on is what doesn't work. What has changed that now doesn't work for me? Well, this change is stupid. I can't do this. I can't do that. Oh my God. Did you pause for even 1 second to look at what is now better? What is now available? That's another good one. Because often when there's change, something new is available. Restaurant changes their menu. Restaurant changes their decor. Heck, a restaurant changes their location. Everywhere you look in your life, you go to work every day. For those of you that go to work every day, you could walk in one day and somebody's rearranged the offices, rearranged your workspace, rearranged the front lobby, rearrange whatever. I remember I was working in in Manitoba, where I live, in the province of Manitoba, where I live, a liquor commission, and it's like we don't. And they had and I worked in their offices there. The liquor commission kind of regulates the booze that flows through the province. Sounds like awful, and it can be. But anyway, I worked in their office in their IT department, and while I was working there, they started some construction projects on because they were redoing the front of the building and the lobby and what have you, and it was a daily struggle to maintain sanity in this building because so many people were just so unhappy about the change. Not a single valid argument did I hear, period, at any point. It was all about how to inconvenience them. And I'm sure I left before the construction was finished, but I'm sure many of those same people would also have, poo-pooed on all of the way it looked, or how much money was spent, or this or that, or whatever. That would have been. I find it stunning when things like this change and people just don't see the wonder in it, or just don't try to find something good. You're going to be faced with change no matter how you look at it. I mean, I talked about death earlier. I mean, all of us will be impacted by the death of someone at some point in our lives. It's just, unless of course you happen to be the young early death that impacts other people. But as a general rule, anybody listening to this message is going to be impacted. That's a huge change. It's coming. Change in the environment you live in, the city you live in, the community you live in, the people around you, the job you have, oh, wait a minute. You decide to go and make some money online. That's going to be a change. If in fact you have never, I think it was David who we had on a hangout on a Monday night, and this is where I found out for the first time that he had 6 months prior to finding the global online franchise is when he made the decision to come online. Talk about change, right? Wow. Here's a guy who, he's not like an 18-year-old kid, not an old man, but, he's clearly lived some life up to this point and then decided, I'm going to go try the online world. What? Like, that's a big deal. I mean, that's a major change. I remember when I first made the decision to walk away from having a job, going to work every day. And wow, crazy change. Not expecting it. Not expecting it at all. I was blindsided by the change. First few weeks, first few couple months, it's like, woo, I gotta work, woo. It was like just party time, right? And I mean, it's not that I didn't, do anything or get any work done, because I was working online and also building an MLM, so I had plenty of things to do. It wasn't like I wasn't working, but the lack of structure caught up to me very quickly. I like structure. I like working in a group. I like working with people. I like being around people. I feed off the energies of people. I'm a people person. The more people I can interact with in a day, the more invigorated I feel. These are things I know about myself, right? Well, here's a little tip. When you work from home, there's nobody in your house. You're here all by yourself. So that was a big challenge. But I had to adapt, right? I mean, going back to work just so I could be around people seemed like a really bad idea. So I had to figure out how to make this work and how to be more connected with the people, in the computer box right there. Coming from an IT background, I mean, I understood how this all works, so it wasn't really complicated, but it's just different, right? And I had to find the benefits, and I had to look for what it is that I love about this now, right? And just understand that your mindset is what dictates whether or not change is good or bad. And I'm going to give you a little tip of the day. You can write it down. Tip of the day. All change is good. And they're like, what? Wait a minute, not all change. If you spend a little bit of time and look for it, there's going to be some good in there. Does that mean that it's the best change ever? No. Guess what? Companies make changes all the time. Whether it be a restaurant, a grocery store, butcher shop, a bakery, bowling alley. Businesses make changes all the time. On the internet, how many times do you see things change? All the time. Version 2.0, version 3.0. I mean, I'm one of the co-founders of the Academy of Online Success. And guess what? We opened up thinking that it's the best product ever on the planet. Well, after a year of review, we decided we need to make some changes. So we did. We think it's an infinitely better product than it was before because we got some feedback and realized where our short-sightedness was. Change was good from all aspects. But I'm sure there's people who have been long-time Academy members and they went into the new Academy and they hate it. I guarantee you there's people like that. Why? Because they don't like change, period. If anything changes, boom, I don't want to do it. They lock themselves in their house and they go and hide under the covers and say, nope, until you put it back to the way it was, I'm not coming out. Okay. It happens. But so I understand that companies have to change, right? And understand this, the intention of the change, usually if a company has good leadership, understand this is important. If a company has good leadership, the change should be for the better. Now, if they're led by a bunch of donkeys, well, guess what? It's probably going to be a bad idea, because they aren't really thinking about anything but themselves. But did somebody fire me a question in Skype? I'm just taking a quick peek here. No. Just want to take a check. Okay, let me just get that. Wasn't a question from Skype. I thought it might have been. So, change is coming. It's an inevitable. Companies make change all the time. Can you find? It goes back to the same phrase where you can find hundreds and thousands of reasons why something won't work, but all you need is to find one reason why it will. Just one. Because if you can find one reason why it'll work, then you can focus on that one reason, right? Now, so the next time something changes in your life, the next time you're faced with some sort of change, become consciously aware. That's another powerful phrase, consciously aware. You can apply that across the board to anything you're doing, but when we're talking about change here, consciously aware. When you become consciously aware of how you react, how you personally, not how your neighbor reacts, how your sister reacts, or how your mother reacts, or your father, or whatever. How do you react to the change? How do you react to people in your environment? How do you react to, your cubicle mate there who's a complete, sourpuss, we'll call them. How's that? How do you react, right? Everybody has entitled to their opinion. Everybody is entitled to feel however they want to feel. But you're also entitled to react however you want, which could be good, right? Not buying into the crap. So consciously, once you become consciously aware of how you react to the change, is at that exact moment that you can cut yourself off before you start to go down that rabbit hole of everything sucks, all this change sucks. All it is your emotional reaction to the change and you feeling uncomfortable. Because when things change, generally speaking, they take a routine that you're used to, ripping it away, and putting in a new routine and saying, here, go do this. And natural human tendencies is going to be, I liked it the way it was. It worked just fine for me. I want it back that way. Sorry to inform you, but this is the direction the company is moving, because we know that we can A, service our customers better, B, well, service our customers better should be primary, but B, more efficient for our employees, more efficient for, which again would be benefit for the customer. I mean, it should have ended with benefit for the customer, but, and bottom line, likely make more money. Why are businesses in business? Why are you in business? Huh? Why are you in business? Why are you trying to make money online? Just for the sake of saying, hey, guess what? I made $5 online. No, you want to make some money. Whether it's $100, $200, $500, $6,000 a month, you want to make some money. So bottom line is always going to be that, right? But you need to find a way to do it so that you're not, you're benefiting the customers, members, whatever it is. Golf course changes the rules, changes the clubhouse, changes, you've been going to the same golf course for 20 years, nothing's changed, and all of a sudden, boom, you show up one day and they're renovating the whole place and you lose your mind. But I liked it this way. I went there for 20 years. I had my spot in the corner. I sat at that table every day. I always had same waitress. Oh my God. That's a perfect example there. You go to, your favorite cafe, your favorite restaurant, your favorite whatever, and suddenly your favorite waitress or waiter is gone because they decided to make a change in their life and either A, change to go wait table somewhere else, or B, decide to challenge themselves to do more. But what do we think about? Ourselves. We go right internal and say, how does this impact me? I don't like it. What? What if that person actually is going to now, they took on some sort of management position in a restaurant down the road or across the city or in another city? That's a huge change, move. Or maybe they decided to take on a new career where they can make 5 times as much money. Maybe they started to work online and they started making some money, and then the word I'm looking for. They made enough money that they could cover the money they made at their job, their waitressing job, where they served you coffee. Who knows why they're not there? But the only thing that most people think about is how does it impact me, as opposed to perhaps this person has gone on to greater things and their entire life is going to change now. That should be amazing to you. Right? Perhaps if you had spent some time talking to them, you might have been part of the influence. Just saying. Rather than just taking the service, it's giving back, right? Now, I think that even in this rambling on about change that I've gone through here, just one after the other, I think I've given the example that I've tried to, I think I've given the, not the example, but I think I laid out a groundwork or set the scene for you to really truly understand that change is everywhere. It's happening around us all over the place. Construction in your city, it's happening all the time. And what do you hear most about? People complaining and bitching and moaning and crying and whining. And oh my God, why do they do construction? Just to slow down traffic? Really? Is that really why they're doing it? Or are they actually trying to make things better? Of course they're trying to make things better. They're either trying to make the roads better. They're trying to make literally the side street, like where I live, there's been 2 blocks of our street that have been completely cut off to traffic since spring. So 6 months. They ripped it up down, like, I don't know, 10 feet deep. I think they were doing sewer work or something. And they're still putting the road back together. Has it been challenging at times because of the traffic flow? Absolutely it has. But what's the end result? The change is good. It's providing a better service for, they had to update it because there's a huge development going up at the far end of our neighborhood, like massive development of condos and all kinds of huge apartment building, just this huge development. But all the roads that I live around, they're all parallel, and they all run towards the end of the neighborhood. They go right towards where this development's going to be. So all these roads need to be developed properly so that the traffic flow that is going to increase when the people start living there, they're ready for it, right? So yeah, there's plenty of change coming, but I have a choice. I have to work with the mindset that the end result is worth what we're going through, right? So I'm one of the very few neighbors that doesn't complain about the construction because it's just not what I do. But just understand this: when change comes, your responsibility is to find a way to see what is good. Your initial reaction is going to be, I hate it. Be consciously aware of that voice that says, I hate it, and stop and analyze it for just a second. Don't waste too much time on it because it shouldn't take that much time. Why do you hate it? Are you hating on it because it doesn't, or it's going to force you to change a routine that you already have? Is that really so bad? Isn't that the definition of a rut, meaning you get stuck and you can't get out in a routine or a track or a direction? That's the whole thing. Like, even I'm just trying to think of a good example here from the online world. I'm just trying to think of it. Like, well, I know with the Academy of Online Success, we switched, like we changed things, right? The fundamentals of what's going on in the Academy have not changed, not even a little bit. How we deliver those fundamentals has changed. Should you, those who come into the Academy of Online Success now only see it as it is, right? So they may find it wonderful, but those that were in the switch, there were some issues. We did deal with some people, right? It's not a good example. It's not working the way I want it to, but the idea is quite simply this. There is an opportunity for you to learn. There's an opportunity for you to grow. There's an opportunity for you to do something. Here's what it is. Here's the point I was trying to get to. Is that there's an opportunity for you to do something in a way that is different than the way you did it before or yesterday. However, will yield the same or better result in the new format. Right? The goal of the change should be, and I believe most of the time is, to provide a better opportunity for those using the service or product. Right? So, having said that, whenever you're faced with a change or you're come across something that's changing in your life, if in fact it's designed to be better for you in some way, isn't it your responsibility to figure out what that is? I think it is. I think it's your responsibility to find out how the new version of whatever it is that's changed, whether, again, go back to the concept of death or life, someone dies in your life, things change. Well, what does the new version of that look like? You know, I've mentioned before in some of the shows, my father passed away a couple of years back, and one of the things that, I mean, of course, it's the hardest has been on my mom. I mean, they were married for 40 years when he passed away, right? So they're the routine of being married for 40 years, and I don't mean that in a negative way. I just mean that, when you've been with somebody for 40 years, there's some things that are pretty standard, even towards the end of my dad's life, where he was really rather unhealthy. So there was quite a bit of work involved in taking care of him, right? And so my mom was the primary caregiver for all of that. So for, let's say, the last 5 years, a whole change came, and she had to adapt, and then she spent 5 years doing it in a certain way, right? And then he passes away. Well, you just spent 5 years creating a very strict routine that's gone like that, especially because he didn't, even though he was ill, he didn't pass away from the complications of what was wrong with him. It was just a complete left field. Suddenly, what? I mean, he knew you weren't healthy, and the potential for you to pass away was sort of always there, but it wasn't going to happen that day, right? So anyway, point being is that it was very much like this, right? Where it was like, okay, routine, okay, all day routine, and he passed away on a Sunday. So routine. Monday morning comes, boom, done. Routine's gone. All gone. And he passed away 2 weeks. 2 weeks? No. 10 days? Can't do the math. 9 days. 9 days before Christmas. Okay? Don't think there's a little bit of routine leading up to Christmas for a family of 10 or so people, that every year you do a certain thing, and blah blah blah, you go certain places, that the routines, you all have them with whatever holidays you celebrate. You all have them. You all have families, you all have things to celebrate. Boom, we got 9 days to figure this out. What? Oh my goodness, right? So the change was immediate. Now, because of the mindset that I've worked on for the past 10 years, and I've tried, I had an amazing sense of calm, an amazing sense of even while we were dealing with all of this. Right before Christmas, an immediate change, my mom, needing to, or having her whole world disappear, right? So there was, but I promise you that 10 years prior to that, I wouldn't have been able to do that. I mean, even some people thought that there were some people that did think that I wasn't grieving properly, or I was in shock, or all those things that people like to tell you how you feel. But the truth of the matter is that I had a mindset of that had been trained and understood that this was part of the process, and that we're going through, and that, yeah, of course I was sad. I'm not a robot, but at the same time, the change, there's got to be something to be learned and good in here, and I had to work for it, and we had to find it. And some of the things that my mom went through were very inspirational, in the sense that she understood that this was not the end of something, but just the change, like sort of the end of a chapter, shall we say, and that Monday morning was a new page to a new chapter, right? So there's a mindset there, and part of the mindset I have today, I learned, and not only did I learn from books that I've read and audios that I listen to, and mentors that I have, but some of the conversations I've had with my mom, both when she went through cancer, and two, when we went through my dad's passing away, there's pieces of information that are just in there, little nuggets. If you're listening for them, if you're looking for them, if you're trying to find the good, if your mindset is prepared to find the good, how does this work for me? How do I turn this unfortunate event, because your first reaction to any kind of change is going to be an unfortunate event, even if it is your waiter at your restaurant not being there that Tuesday morning when you show up. Maybe they are just staying home sick and you resent them for being homesick because they're not the ones serving you your breakfast. Whatever. It's a change in your routine, right? And if your mindset is prepared, if you're doing daily work, and I've said this before on different hangouts, if you are doing daily work to protect your mindset, to grow it, protect it, design it, everything, then when you are faced with a massive change, or you're faced with massive, or even just minor change, like your waiter not showing up for work that day, and even if you're faced with minor change, you have the capacity to reorganize that instant negative feeling of, well, I don't like this. This sucks. My whole life has changed. This waiter doesn't serve my coffee the right way. The other one knows how I like it. Like whatever. You have the capacity up here to prepare yourself for it or react to it in a way that is positive and moving forward in nature. I just looked at the clock and realized that it's 20 to 10. Wow. I ramble on a lot, don't I? And nobody wrote anything in the chat box. Did I have you mesmerized? Did you all fall asleep? Do you guys have enough coffee? Anyway, change is inevitably good if you take the time to find out where you fit in the new environment. Because we all do. We all do. People move, they change states, provinces, countries sometimes. I mean, it's all good. It's all good. Anyway, I'm not going to ramble on any longer. It is 20 to 10, and I don't see any questions. Hopefully I have myself questioning whether I'm using this question box properly. I assume so. Yeah. There's no other option. I'm wondering if there's any other options I forgot to check off, but I think that this box is checked. That box is checked. All right, we're all good. All right, guys. Oh, hey, look. Oh, David is doing work while he's listening to me. Wow, look at him. Isn't he a go-getter? Way to go, David. Congrats on finding a way to make it all happen together. Hey, that's a good solution. I like it. Safe lists can get a little, they are a little tedious. I've done them. But it's good to find yourself a audio to play in the background, even if it's not me, but it could be, just a good audio or music sometimes. Change it up. Do you want to know how you embrace change? Change it up. Change it up. If you find, here's a good, consciously aware, here's a good marker for you that should indicate that you need to do some work. Here's the marker. If you ever find yourself throughout your day being frustrated because you didn't get your coffee in time, traffic was slow so you couldn't stop, that any of these things that you do on a day-to-day basis, like, you get up in the morning. The other day, I almost every day I get up, first thing I do is I go make myself a cup of coffee, have my bowl of cereal. It's pretty standard. Nothing earth-shattering about it. I'm a pretty normal guy. The other day, I realized it was noon or something, and I hadn't even made a cup of coffee. Now, I know Natalie is probably like doing the whole, no. She's a huge coffee drinker, and she's probably mad at me now because I poked fun at her, and I didn't have that coffee that day. But anyway, she'll love me anyway. The point is that I'm making is that I don't routine myself to the point of, if it doesn't work, if it doesn't happen in that order, that my whole day is shot, because you're setting yourself up for failure. Because anything can happen at any given day, and if you structure your day based on getting completely benign things involved. Like, I mean, yeah, like, you look at your work structure, like, you know, I need to do X amount of time on safe list, blah, 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 blah. And then something comes up and you don't get it all done. Does this destroy you? It shouldn't. Because it's just change being thrown your way. And your ability to adapt on the fly. I mean, David's example, it's a minor example, but still a good example. That David could have chose, okay, well, I can't do safe list and listen to the show, so I'll just do one or the other. No, he decided I'm going to do both. Right, but he made the decision, right? It's just trying to adapt. Anyway, point being is that if you find yourself going through your day and you're frustrated because something that you normally do at 2 o'clock doesn't happen, and you're beside yourself, and the rest of your day sucks, and you find yourself just bitching and complaining about everything from the weather to the traffic to the pedestrians to the what, you need to check yourself. You need to be consciously aware in that moment that you are a routine addict, and you need to figure out a way to snap that, because that's the only way that when change comes, you have the capacity to embrace it. To embrace change, you have to have the capacity to go with the flow to a certain degree. Now, I'm not suggesting that lists and doing things, but those are what you do on a regular. I have lists. I have things that here's what I need to do all day. Every day I have a list. Every single day. But, and if, let's say for 4 days in a straight, nothing out of the ordinary happens, well, guess what? I'm going to basically do the exact same thing for 4 days straight. Yes, it happens. Of course it does. But what I do also is that after those 4 days, I'll probably break it up. If nothing has come up that I need to go do out of the house, or I need to go, I'll break it up. I'll go deliberately go work in a coffee shop instead of working in the house. I'll go deliberately just go for coffee with somebody so that I can interact with somebody. I'll do those things just deliberately to have that breakup. Because learning how to adapt is the key to embracing change. So anyway, this has probably been one of the longest hangouts I've done, and I don't want it to go any longer because I want people to be able to enjoy these things without taking up too much of their time. So I'd love for everybody to take some time and just become consciously aware of the type of routine you have for your day, the type of routine you're a part of, the type of how do you react to change? Think about it. Think about things that have changed in your life in the last 6 months, last 30 days. How did you react? I challenge you to prepare yourself for change. And when it comes, just be excited. Oh, right on. What's new? There's the question. What's new? What's new? You know what? I used to do it like this and it worked so well. But hey, I'm going to try and do it the way they got it set up here because it might be better. Go figure. It might be. What if? What if the new way actually makes you more efficient, therefore makes you more money? So you're going to be doing the same work in less time and make more money. But if you would not, if the powers that be would not have changed things for you, you'd have plodded along, probably happily because you're making money and you're doing tasks and things are working out, right? But then, you know, and you'd have been fine. Change comes along and right away you fight it and then you stop doing anything. And you say, forget it, hands in the air, I'm not doing it. You guys change it, I'm not doing it. But if you just apply yourself and be positive about it, guess what? It might be better for you. Have yourself an awesome day, guys. We'll take care. We'll see you soon.